research technology team of Stanford Medicine Technology and Digital Solutions. It's a mouthful. Over the past several years, I've had the privilege of working with a number of today's speakers, and today I have the additional privilege of moderating the first set of talks this afternoon. Before we hear from our speakers, I'd like to once again welcome Dr. Todd Ferris to kick off our meeting. Todd is Stanford Medicine's Chief Technology Officer for Research and Education. He's a board-certified physician, received his MD from the University of Michigan, go Blue. He leads our research technology team and is a Stanford veteran, having been here for over 20 years in a number of leadership roles. Todd, would you like to take it away?
Thanks, Dave. I wasn't expecting the full intro today. I appreciate it. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's joining us, those that have coming for the second day. We really value you're taking the time and learning more about STARR. We also value your feedback. So I'm sure that Priya is going to be reaching out to folks afterwards to get some feedback. What do you think of our new format? Was this good in 2 days and doing a half days? We're really just, we're trying to meet the community, what works best for them and trying to get them engaged. So also let us know if there are things that we should be doing to help you out and using all our services. We're really excited to see how we partner with the community. I didn't get to see all the talks yesterday because I was running around between Epic and I flew back from Madison last night. I'm actually home. Amazing travel. And so I'm looking forward to looking at some of the recordings. I heard there's some excellent talks that were given yesterday and looking forward to today's. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Great. Thank you very much, Todd. Okay. Next up, the lady of the hour, Priya Desai. Priya is a physicist by training. This is the canned speech, but that's okay. Got to do it. Priya is a physicist by training and is a data scientist at heart. As a biomedical informatics research and development lead for the research technology team, she is passionate about our mission to build the next generation of products leveraging healthcare research and analytics. As the product owner and champion for STARR and STARR OMOP, she's the driving force, and she's the reason we're all here today. So today, Priya, you're going to give us an update on the state of STARR.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, everyone. I'm really excited to see you all again. Welcome to day 2 of the 3rd STARR user group meeting. Thanks for joining and sharing your work with us. And as I mentioned yesterday, the real motivation for this summit was to just have a day when we could all meet, celebrate the vision for STARR. And I was really blown away by the variety of STARR use cases we heard yesterday. So I'm really looking forward to another day of inspiring talks. For the benefit of our new users, I wanted to spend a couple of minutes setting the context for why STARR, how does it fit into the larger School of Medicine ecosystem. Part of Stanford of the School of Medicine's mission statement is to improve human health through discovery, innovation, education, and the delivery of outstanding patient-centered care. To get there, you need outstanding leaders, scientists, and doctors, as well as data, good quality, reliable data, and that's where STARR comes in. One of the motivating factors for STARR was to be able to leverage the huge quantities of clinical data that we generate in our hospitals for research. As you know, there's a lot of interest in being able to use AI and ML models to build smart healthcare systems. And we wanted to build a platform that allowed you to do exactly that, to access and explore the data seamlessly, to reduce the researcher reliance on honest broker services, that is IRBs, and give researchers the ability to extend their research questions beyond Stanford. We really wanted to build an infrastructure platform that would allow us to scale. STARR, which stands for Stanford Medicine Research Data Repository, was envisioned with the goal of hosting multiple linked clinical data warehouses containing data of different clinical modalities all in one place on the cloud. So STARR contains structured and unstructured, raw and analysis-ready data, as well as tools to analyze this data. The underlying technology stack for STARR is the Google Cloud Platform, and all the data sets, the ETLs that convert the raw data into its analysis-ready form, and the HIPAA-compliant big data computing platform are hosted on Google Cloud. As Sanjay mentioned yesterday, there have been previous incarnations of STARR. In fact, the School of Medicine's relationship with artificial intelligence in medicine started almost half a century ago. So in the 1970s, with the Stanford University Medical Experimental Computer for Artificial Intelligence in Medicine, or the SUMEX AIM project. Fast forward to 2003, School of Medicine decided to invest in a clinical research, clinical data warehouse. This effort resulted in the HIPAA-compliant STRIDE data platform. Fast forward another dozen years or so to 2016, and the School of Medicine envisions STARR, the Stanford Medicine Research Data Repository, which is the current incarnation of STARR. Our first STARR product offering was the HIPAA-compliant research computing platform, Nero, that went live in the summer of 2018. Nero is actually managed by our partners, the Stanford Research Computing Center, or SRCC. Early fall of 2019, we launched our next generation clinical data warehouse, the STARR OMAP, which was also accessible via Nero. We have steadily continued to add to the available data types and tools. We've also really been trying to build a community of STARR users. We started holding an annual STARR Summit, and that's really what brings us to today. I like to think of STARR as having sort of four main components or four main pillars: the raw data, analysis-ready data, tools to access, query, and analyze this data, and then user support to lower the barrier of using this data. We can look at all our data sets, tools, and product offerings through the lens of these four pillars. And if we do that, doing that, when we look through the raw data lens, one of the most significant changes that happened earlier this year was a change in the filters used in the EHR data that is vended. Some of you may have noticed that since maybe sometime in early Feb, you've been seeing more patients and encounters in your existing older cohorts. Now, many of you already know that not all the raw data in Clarity is available for research use. Based on the agreement between the School of Medicine and the hospital, certain patients and certain kinds of patient encounter data cannot be used in research. The research technology team has worked with the hospital compliance and legal department to come up with a complex filtering logic, which is then executed, and a filtered clarity is generated. This filtered clarity is really the raw source from which all downstream products like the analysis-ready data sets, like OMAP, PedsNet, STRIDE, are generated. These agreements were revisited and the filtering logic was revamped late last year. And as a result, more patients and more patient encounter data is now coming into filtered clarity and therefore into the downstream products. So these changes were implemented in February of this year. And as a result, we saw an increase of about 5,000 patients and over 1 million new encounters in STARR OMAP, for example. We are working on automating data delivery for some ancillary data sets. So basically any clinical data from any system that is not Epic is an ancillary data set. So these are not new data sets, but we are working on being able to refresh these data sets on a more regular cadence. One of our priorities has continued to be enhancing the STARR OMAP data tables. We announced earlier this week that STARR OMAP has now been populated with tumor data from SHC's Epic Beacon. So Beacon is Epic's medical oncology module, and it went live in SHC in 2014. We do plan to bring in the tumor registry data as well. And so as of May 2023, the tumor data that are included in STARR OMAP are tumor histology and topography using the ICD-03 vocabulary. And in this mapping schema, the condition start date of the tumor is derived from the staging date. So if a tumor was staged both clinically and pathologically, but at different dates, then STARR OMAP will contain two separate rows, one for each date. Basic tumor descriptors are located in the measurement table, and you can actually link the condition occurrence table to the measurement table using what are called modifier of event ID variables. So this is a little bit of a new concept. We have added a Jupyter notebook with sample queries into the STARR GitLab. So to get you guys all started, on exploring the oncology data and exactly understand how you would, use this modifier of event ID variable to sort of link the measurement table and the condition table. In March, we updated the STARR OMOP vocabulary to reflect the most updated Odyssey vocabulary, which was also released earlier this year in January. This actually incorporated significant changes, including a new version of CPT-4, as a result of which, certain domains were changed for, a whole number of visits, measurements, and procedure concept IDs. This vocabulary actually also includes the 2023 version of ICD-10-CM, the 2023 version of RX norm, and the most recent LOINC version with the latest COVID-19 related most related COVID-19 related labs and the SARS-CoV-2 antibody hierarchy. So far our vocabulary updates have been somewhat sporadic, but going forward, we are really planning to update these vocabularies every quarter. Now, many of you know that STARR Tools, that is our legacy data model, formerly known as STRIDE, does incorporate some death data from the Social Security Administration death master file. In fall of last year, we did a detailed investigation into the accuracy of our linking methods, and we were using matching algorithms primarily by generating tokens, which used combinations of the Social Security number, the first and last name, and the date of birth. What we realized was that Social Security numbers are a very unreliable source to use. Less than half, so only 48% of the Social Security numbers in our EPIC Clarity are even valid and therefore usable. Furthermore, the true matching rates between the Social Security death data and the EPIC Clarity data is really low, suggesting that even the Social Security death data is fairly incomplete and missing a lot of the death information. This resulted in a paper which is now in bioRxiv, and for the sake of completeness and consistency, we are working on bringing in the available Social Security death data also into STARR OMOP. But we're continuing our search for a more complete and reliable death data source. PedsNet is our pediatric data in the PedsNet data model, which is similar in spirit to OMOP, but optimized for pediatric research. We submit data to the PedsNet consortium every quarter, and last year, the faculty advisory committee decided that PedsNet was also going to be an institutional asset like STARR OMOP. And there are now plans underway for Stanford to be more involved in this consortium in a larger way. And Dr. Keith Morse is actually going to talk more about that in the next session. We recently started bringing in SHC ED encounter data into PedsNet. And you may wonder why one would need to do that. And this was actually a real learning journey for us. We had initially developed the PedsNet data set using just the Clarity data from the Children's Hospital, assuming that it was fairly complete with all the LPCH patients. As it turns out, that is not completely true, and some departments like the pediatric ED are actually managed by the adult hospital. So what that means is that while the LPCH Clarity has a record that the pediatric ED visit occurred, the details of that encounter, like the conditions or procedures or drugs dispensed during that encounter, continue to reside in the adult Clarity. So at the clinician's end, EPIC Hyperspace neatly stitches up the data. So, a clinician can view both the details of the encounters that occurred at the Children's Hospital or at the ED seamlessly. But all the while, the underlying data was actually residing in two separate Clarities. We recently generated an OMOP data set using synthetic Clarity data, and this is exciting. Synthetic Clarity data is basically synthetic patient data that is used to test Clarity pipelines and ETLs. So this data by definition has no PHI. So while you can't use this data for clinical research, you can use it for education to maybe better understand the ETL processes and data models, and maybe for training models. We are in the process of exploring this data set, trying to understand its limitations, but really excited about its possibilities. The Population Health Services, which is another group at Stanford, and Research Technologies have been working together to convert a new EHR data set, the American Family Cohort, into the OMOP Common Data Model. This data set represents a geographically and ethnically geographically, ethnically, and socioeconomically diverse population of about 7 million patients all across 50 states. So with the addition of this data set, Stanford researchers will have access to 3 large-scale observational health data sets. So AFC with EHR data for about 7 million patients, STARR OMOP with EHR data for 3 million patients, and MarketScan, which is claims data for about 107 million patients. All 3 are available in the OMOP common data model, and access to these, we really believe that access to these diverse data sets for training and validation will really greatly leverage the advantage that Stanford researchers have as they develop learning healthcare systems. The past year has seen a burgeoning interest in pediatric bedside monitoring data, and we saw that represented in the talks yesterday. You may recall we had LPCH waveform data, de-identified metadata till 2021. So you could actually join that LPCH waveform metadata to STARR OMOP DID. And we're working on making that data more current. So we'll be bringing in all the LPCH waveform data, right up to May 2023, converting it into PhysioNet format and making the metadata available in the de-identified format. On the user support front, we have added a new workshop, exploring STARR OMOP with Google BigQuery to our series of workshops, which we continue to hold twice a year. And of course, recordings of these workshops are available in the Stanford STARR YouTube channel. As mentioned before, we added a new sample tutorial on oncology in our GitLab. We're really trying to get to a place where a researcher can seamlessly run an Odyssey network study on Nero end-to-end. And I really feel like these efforts are gathering steam, and we now have a critical mass of researchers interested in doing this. We have buy-in from the Nero folks. They're willing to globally install all the packages required to run these studies. And we have an informal STARR OMOP user group actually that meets every Friday to work on network studies. So if there's anybody out there who's interested, feel free to drop me a line and I'll be happy to invite you to that meeting. A few weeks ago, we actually rolled out a new STARR OMOP support ticketing system. I'm super excited about this one to ensure that no user requests fall through the cracks. So all your STARR OMOP questions, just please email starromopsupport@stanford.edu. Your request will be assigned to someone and you will get a response. So if you have general questions, of course, please continue to post them on the Slack channel. Stetson is another project that we are actively working on. And the vision for that is actually self-service delivery of OMOP data subsets to a user's NeroGCP project. So the idea is that identified OMOP data subsets will go through the same checks that STARR Tools does, like validation of IRB, etc., and will be delivered via the STARR Tools portal to the user's NeroGCP project. So expect to hear more about that in the coming months. Some of you may have noticed that PHI downloads from STARR Tools has been temporarily suspended. We've temporarily disabled the ability to download PHI data because we're making some changes. So in the interim, if you need data, please email us. We'll probably be lending it out on an individual basis. So as I wrap up, here are links to some of the main STARR resources, including the STARR support services. And I wanted to end with a big shout out to our leadership, both the Michael Hallas and Michael Pfeffer, of course, Todd, Somali, for their continued support, our business partners and collaborators, and of course, most importantly, to the research technology team without whom none of this would have been possible. And to you, our users, thank you for your support, and we look forward to continuing the STARR journey with you. And with that, I'm happy to take some questions.
If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the Q&A portion of the Zoom. At the moment, I don't see any.
Cool.
All right. Well, Priya, thank you very much.
Let's go to the more exciting part of
the state of STARR.
meeting. Yes.
That's pretty exciting. It's amazing what the team has accomplished and can accomplish. So Priya, thank you. Thank you so much for your leadership with that. Okay, as Priya says, we're moving on to the
The preceding program is copyrighted by the Board of Trustees of the Leland Stanford Junior University. Please visit us at med.stanford.edu.